Welcome to Trailblazing Career Tech Minds, the podcast where we explore the journeys, insights, and innovations of Baldwin Preparatory Academy. Baldwin Prep Academy is the first of its kind in secondary education in our region and even the Southeast. Education and industry are integrated at Baldwin Prep with industry partners involved in every step of the way, from curriculum planning to the design of industry-specific environments for education and training. So buckle up and get ready to embark on a journey of discovery, innovation, and inspiration. Welcome to the forefront of career technical education. Welcome to Trailblazing Career Tech Minds. I'm your host and career coach, Morel Baxter. Today's Trailblazers are Miss Tomaso. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Becky Tomaso. I'm the Baldwin County Teacher Cadet Academy Instructor and will be new at Baldwin Prep this year. So this is our second year for our academy, and we have graduated 16 seniors this past year in our Baldwin Teacher Cadet program, and I'm super proud of my kiddos.
And we have Angela Ramirez, one of my former students too, from Foley High School. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Angela.
So my name is Angela Ramirez. I just recently graduated from Foley High School, and I did the Teacher Cadet program with Miss Tomaso for 2 years, and I recently graduated there too.
Okay. And my co-host?
Brittany Eames, Science Teacher at Baldwin Preparatory Academy.
Well, I'm so excited to have you ladies on today. I will say, Angela, I told you this when you came in, you're our first student,
Yes.
but I know you're graduated now, so you're an alum. You are a teacher, a Baldwin County Teacher Cadet alum.
Yes.
So tell us what that means to you.
Well, it means a lot of things. It was very hard getting here, not gonna lie. But when Miss Baxter actually sat us all down in the cafeteria at the beginning of my junior year, she told us about a bunch of new stuff, and I was honestly bored of going to 7 classes a day. So I was like, I will take 3 classes not being at the high school. So when the last one she said was the Teacher Academy, I was like, might as well do it. I've always wanted to student teach, so this should be fun. I didn't know what I was going to college for. I just knew I was going to college. So, I was like, maybe this will be something new. So then I walk in there. I didn't know it was going to be that hard, but it was worth it. It was worth it. It was worth it. I definitely learned a lot. I got a lot of experience in the classroom as well. A lot of great students I got to meet, and a lot of good experience, and I feel very, very grateful that I got to go to that, because I feel like I'm more prepared and I know what I'm going into college for and what my career is going to be.
I'm so glad you said that, because sometimes us, career coaches, teachers, we think that y'all are just sitting there and not listening. It's like, okay, when it comes back around when somebody tells you, like, I listened that day and I did it and it was awesome.
Yeah.
Like, thank you for saying
You're
that.
welcome.
So that's really cool, and I'm really proud of you. Miss Tomaso, you're a teacher.
Yes, it wasn't that hard.
Hey, anything worth having is hard.
Yeah.
It was. I have high expectations because I really want to prepare. The part of this program is to have future teachers for Baldwin County, and I want them to really want to be teachers. I was an adjunct professor at South and was a student teacher supervisor, and students would get all the way through college in that last semester be like, I don't know if I want to do this. And that's a big commitment in college. I mean, and I want to make sure that my students are prepared. I will have to do a shout out to all of my teacher mentors in 14 different schools in our county. There is zero way that I could not do it without them. They step up, they are joyous, they are helpful. They take all of the cadets. I think Angela probably had over 300 clock hours, probably more than that, because on the days that they finished early or they finished their finals, they would still just show up to class. I mean, Christmas holiday, when all the seniors were finished, they were still there. They would always go and help the teachers out. But my mentor teachers are a big part of this program, and that's part of it. But there is rigor in the fact that there are 18 credit hours that the students are taking through dual enrollment through Coastal. Mm-hmm. So that's part of it, but I feel like in our child development and our curriculum, I'm teaching them developmental skills. And even though a lot of my students want to go elementary, I do have high school and middle school teachers that are students that want to become teachers as well. But I think it's important to learn about child development and see the progression. That way, even as a middle school teacher, you can learn best practices in high school as well.
So for our listeners that aren't very familiar with our Teacher Cadet program, tell us a little bit more about what your mentors do with your students.
Okay, so if you are a teacher or an aspiring teacher, there's a thing called EdTPA. Anyone know about that one over there? So
I passed that one. They came after me.
So
what is EdTPA?
So EdTPA is like a big portfolio. It's sort of like a giant, like, here's what I've done through college. So I modeled the program sort of like a little mini EdTPA. So we have professional competencies in each of the courses. So the students take 4 classes a year with the program, and now that the program will be extended to 10th, 11th, 12th grade, they'll finish for a year with me. And each course has professional competencies that they need to do. And for example, I'll use this one. We were taking a class on artistic development for children, and so one of the professional competencies were going into the classroom and assessing children's artwork, because it's a big and it's very interesting, and there's lots of things that they can do. So that hands-on learning the ideas about it. We can talk about Maslow, we can talk about hierarchy of needs, but actually going in there and hands-on learning about things. And Lowenfeld's artistic development really helped. So they would go in, they would learn about it, they would write about it, put it in their portfolio, add the photos that they took, and that was like a mini portfolio that they'll take with them.
Nice. Mm-hmm. I've always heard that you never really know about teaching until you're actually immersed in a classroom. Is that right?
100%.
Tell us about that experience.
Where do I start? So, my first year, it was a first grade class with Miss McClellan.
Amazing mentor.
Very great teacher. I remember I walked in there my first day, and she said, "Did you read the email I sent you?" And I said, "What email?" And in the email, it said that she had behavior issues, and it just wasn't your, normal, typical class you would think.
There is no such thing as
But
typical,
there
right?
isn't. So me going in, I was I knew there was kids with behaviors, but I didn't honestly realize that they were in the classroom. So when I walked in there, it was a lot, and I don't know how she does it, but it was wonderful to learn, how you can, the student can still be in the class learning with everybody else, but they're, you can just see how their stuff is a little bit different from everybody else's, but the students don't know that. So it's
It's classroom management 101 right there. And you could teach it all day long in a book, but there's no way that she could learn it until she saw it in action.
And what stands out to me, Angela, is that you got all these hours as a high school student.
Yes.
So I think of my student teaching experience and the program I went through. We didn't get even a fraction of that.
We have blown them away.
What you're experiencing and what you have experienced so far is just setting you so far apart. And I think it's so unique about your program, and that
you're so far ahead.
Future teachers are getting so much more firsthand experience, things like classroom management and differentiation, and that's going to stick with you, and that's going to make you a better teacher.
And when they go in they traditionally don't start until October, because I like the classroom mentors to just get their fill of their own classrooms before we just bust in there, I guess is the big word for it. So we start in October and we finish mid-April because we have to do finals and our seniors are leaving. But I miss them so much because they go 2 days a week, and I miss my kids, but I'm all over traveling to the 14 different schools to check them out and see them in action. But they love it. And when they start going, they're like, can we go 3 days a week? Can we go 4 days a week? And so I think the new model for some of my seniors will be they're going to do full on, hopefully through the program, and as we progress, they'll do full on student teaching. And they are such an asset. Part of the STEAM program that I was with, so we worked with Allie Schultz this year, and she came into all of our teacher cadet classrooms, and helped teach the students best practices in learning STEAM. And they had a great time. They learned with Ozobots. We did Makey Makeys. We've learned the 5E lesson for the 5E models, and they all taught it in their mentor classes, which was really great. But I think it was just a great idea for them to be, I don't even know where I was going with that, but who knows? But sorry. Where was I going?
Angela, were you actually teaching lessons?
It was, yeah.
So you're not just like there helping. I mean,
no.
you're actually
she's not cutting papers. Absolutely not. So because part of their professional competencies in the program, when I ask the mentors to do that, is they give up some of their time to let them work and practice. And they help them. They guide them. It's really amazing program.
It really is. And I just remember back when, before you were hired, Mr. Mowdy was telling me, like, we've got to have somebody that's so, like, fluid and good, because weren't you going to South Baldwin and then North Baldwin at one time?
Yes.
And that is a long drive. That is like the southern part of the county, the northern part of the county. You were having 2 classes, and then all your kids were on the road.
And then on Wednesday, Thursdays, like, I would start off, I would try to strategically do it. So I would not be able to see everybody on every day. And so I would see some on some mornings, some on other mornings, and then the afternoon, I would go to my afternoon crew. But, like, I would try to keep it in geographic areas. But, yeah, some days I was on the road, and I went to all the different schools. And, you know, I got really good at showing my badge to get in the door, because it was just but it was really great. It was exciting for me. I was an elementary teacher for a long, long time, and moved 6 years ago to secondary. And so being back in that elementary classrooms, they're great to see.
Oh, yeah.
I like where I am, though, so I'm not going back to elementary.
You are the perfect person.
Yeah,
for
they
the
absolutely
program.
hit the jackpot with you.
I'm
I'm telling
My
you.
experience from all different levels, working with all different
Yes,
age ranges is we are blessed.
Very.
And one of my mottos I tell my kids sometimes is that you just have to fake it till you make it. And as long as you're working hard, there's days in your classroom that are going to be amazing, and you're going to be spot on. You're going to hit all those objectives that you thought. And then some days you're like, I don't even know how I got through the day. And I think having that real and making it real time for them is something that they can see. And they do that. I mean, they're mentor teachers. There's days that are amazing, and there's days that one of my students at shout out to Mouche, they had a big throw up party in their classroom.
No.
And my kid said it was horrible. And I was taking another kid down to the office, and it went all over the floor. And I'm like, are you ready to go back the next day? And she's like, yes. So
Oh.
it's like, you go, girl. And it happens. And so I think that's real life.
I think, too, just like from the outside looking in, I just think that you're perfectly just hit the jackpot with you. And I think you inspire so many of these young girls and guys to be a teacher. Mm-hmm. And you had so many students who have gotten the Future Teacher Scholarship Award with Baldwin County. Yes, so tell us about that. I know. And I love the fact that our county is just so proactive and really just trying to get our kids to come back and be a teacher with our system. I mean, I am a little biased. I think we are the best system.
We are. So my mom was a teacher for 25 years, and she taught first grade. And I tell everyone, my mom was a non-traditional student. She went to school after I was born, my brother and I. She went to night school and finished her college degree. And so when I finished high school, I was sort of a little bit like Angela. I knew I was going to go to college, but honestly, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I mean, when I was a kid, I wanted to be a train engineer, train driver. And then I wanted to be an archaeologist, but realized it's too hot outside. So those are the things. And I didn't know I wanted to be a teacher. My mom was a teacher for a long time, and I hated grading papers. You know that, right?
Yeah.
It's my worst thing. I'm not a paper grader. And so I wasn't sure that teaching was my thing. And I wish I would have had a program like this as a high school kid, because to be real honest, I became a teacher because my mom was a teacher, and I knew that I didn't want to be a nurse. And, grew up in the 70s and 80s. It was kind of like, what do girls do when they go to college?
To be a teacher or a nurse.
Yeah, and that was it. And even in the middle of teaching, I started my teaching career, and I was just, I felt like I wasn't really wanting to do it a little bit. I even remember looking at the catalog, the course catalog, thinking I might go in the medical field and be a doctor. Like, my husband was really encouraging to do whatever because we got married really young. And but then I hit my stride. And when I realized that my why and why I wanted to teach, and I think that changed my whole outlook on everything. And my big why was I was a big science girl, and science wasn't really big in elementary education back in the early 90s. And I was always doing science things. And one of my big whys, and I tell my students this all the time, and even when I was an adjunct at South, my son, we did science camps all the time. I went to science camp, I went to space camp, and we all did these really cool things with my husband and I. And we had summer science camps for years. And so my kids, when they were little, were tagging along in summer science camps, and they always knew. My husband would always tell our daughter, have a great day, ask lots of questions. And it just is amazing because she became a physician now, and that was her. You know, she knew, she was always asking and asking questions and asking why. And the big story is our son was in school, and the two of them were fighting. You know, as a mama, now you have two. Mm-hmm. So you'll figure this out. So I was driving, and they were arguing in the back seat, and you're like over here about to be like, stop, I'm pulling this car over. And I was like, what are y'all fighting for? What is going on? And then big sister was like, he just doesn't know what he's talking about. And I was like, what are you fighting about? And they're like, I don't have science in school. And he's like, and of course, you know, sister's chiming in, yes, you do. And I'm like, wait a minute, stop. Tell me why you think you don't have science in school. And this is what he said. All we do is ever just read a book. And it hit me, and that's my why forever. It's because he had schema and background of science because he'd been there watching and doing. And at 3 years old, he was in science camps and building. He's an engineer now. But, you know, he had that background, and it just, that was it. I was like, that's my why. And so since then, that's been my passion, is to bring in STEAM and bring in science, but also have teachers know their why of why they want to be a teacher.
You are a proud mom.
I am a proud mom.
I love that.
And I'm a proud grandnan. I have a grand neighbor. She's the smartest thing ever. We actually brought Imogene in when we had to do a pre-K assessment, and Imogene was our pre-K assessment girl. So she brought in, I have a grand neighbor and an extra bonus daughter that will be at Baldwin Prep with us.
Okay. Next year, so. And you said, I heard you say it, I wish they would have had that when I was in school.
100%.
Yep, and that's the motto.
Yeah,
so
because I didn't know that's really what I wanted to do until I really had my why. And I want my students, and I think Angela found her why. This year she was in a pre-K classroom. And so if you can handle pre-K, you can handle anything.
I believe it. I believe it.
She was in pre-K with one of the best mentors ever. You want to talk about your pre-K class?
Yes, I loved it. I loved it more than first grade, but I still love Miss McClellan. But I was with Miss Laurendine, and she actually was my kindergarten teacher.
Aww.
So I felt a little bit more like comfortable going into the classroom because I knew who the teacher was. So I go in there, and the first thing the kids did is all came up and hugged me. They did not know my name. They didn't know who I was, but they just came up and hugged me, and they were so happy. They didn't hate school. They loved being there. They loved their friends. They loved going out to play. And it was not, the thing I hate about school is you sit there and you do work. That's all it really was my whole life, really. Once I started middle school, that's all it was. Middle school and up, that's all it was. And it drove me crazy. It did. School wasn't fun anymore. So when I went into the pre-K classroom and I saw that the kids were outside playing, they were still learning, and they loved school. And then I remember I was sitting in the cafeteria room one day, and the kid had his juice box, it was dented in, and the student was crying over it because he said it didn't taste the same. So I just grabbed the juice box and I rubbed my hands together, and I said, I just did magic, and it's going to taste a million times better. And he opens it and he says, oh my goodness, Miss Ramirez, you did it. And I was like, yes, I did. And it's just, like with an older kid, you could never do that. So
what grade do you want to teach?
pre-K or
Aww.
kindergarten, one of those.
There's a big need for pre-K instructors.
I can see that.
In the talks with all of the colleges that I've been working with, they've switched their model about 8 to 10 years ago to do elementary and collaborative special ed, and so they backed away from early childhood education, and there are not very many certified. I have an EDS in early childhood, but there's not very many certified early childhood teachers, because in order to teach pre-K, you have to have an early childhood degree. So South Alabama is bringing back their early childhood. Spring Hill's bringing back their early childhood as well. And of course, West Alabama and all the other colleges are doing suit because they need them.
Mm-hmm. Well, in COVID, when we got right back to school, there were tons and tons and tons of teachers that were out sick. And I'm technically under the central office, so I had to go out and help a pre-K teacher one day to fill in for their aide. And let me just tell you, y'all are special people. You're very special. I have a newfound. I went home and I thought I knew what y'all did.
It's exhausting, isn't it?
I have a newfound respect for all of those teachers, all elementary school teachers too, as well. But I mean, they're like, teacher, can you wipe my nose, and like all this stuff, and it's like, whoa, I was thrown into a whole new world. So good for you. I mean, we need people like that.
School mamas for a long time. So definitely.
Yeah. Tell us why you want to be a teacher? So like you're coming out of high school. Like tell us.
Coming out of high school, I did the program, and then I think that teaching is more than just having a student know their basic math, English, science, reading.
Did my job.
You did.
Especially in the first grade class, I saw a kid that struggled a lot. The student could not take a test by themselves. They thought they couldn't do it. They freaked out. And I mean, first grade is hard. Like, you're learning how to write, you're learning how to read, like you're making paragraphs, it's hard. And so for this student to be more focused on what's going on at home than trying to learn, you could clearly tell that like stuff was going on. So when I saw him this year, and he came up to me and he said, I can do a test by myself. I haven't gotten in trouble in so long. And I could cry. Like, it made me
you're gonna
so
make me
happy.
cry right now.
Oh my gosh, it is.
She came back to tell that story.
Yes, it made me so happy. Because I was like he's so smart. I'm gonna cry.
And that's okay.
He's just,
That's what teaching is
He's gonna
about.
make it, right?
Yeah.
He's going to make it. And I think that's why we are teachers, is because that's what we want to do. We want to make these kids, they're going to make it. You're going to make it too. I'm so excited.
Y'all are called to do this.
Yes.
Like, truly. It is your calling to help kids.
yes.
So,
Ms. Tomaso, what do you think the future of education looks like?
Oh, gracious.
that's a big question.
I think, well, I will tell you one exciting part of it is I was accepted last year to be part of the research education for teachers through South Alabama. So basically last year I went through a program with computer science and learning AI, and they called it Edge AI. I walked in and I had absolutely no clue, and I tell all of my students, I do remember the put your tua on the paper, and I speak in like Swahili, yes, and if I felt like that, so I do an activity with my students that I use a different language, and I have them do something, and they are looking at me like I have no idea what you're talking about. And then I scaffold that learning and I show it through a picture format for them. And then they're like, oh, I can do this now. So it's a great like visual on learning. And that's how I felt in that class. But what I learned, I suffered through, I got it. I learned so much information on artificial intelligence and how we're using this technology. I mean, we have podcasts out here now. And I feel like the future of education is just building teachers and people that want to be innovators, and that's important to me. And I tell everybody through this program that I've done 2 workshops over the summer, and then this summer I was part of the team again, and we got to go to South Dakota. Let me tell you, it was super cool because I went to the John Deere factory.
Oh, cool.
I think I can tell you about it because we couldn't take pictures, but it was top secret.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It was really cool, but they said I could talk about it. but I couldn't take pictures for us. But they are using all of the technology that's out there. They're making these sensors for their disc and their plows and all of their equipment. But one of them is to recognize whether or not a plant is using sensors is either a plant or a weed, and either fertilize it or kill it. Isn't that cool? Mm-hmm. And so if we don't make our students become thinkers and questions and innovators, we won't have those people to build and design those things. So I think teachers have a super important job. I mean, that's what we need to do. And it starts with having a classroom that's not sitting down and just looking at a book. It's the doing part. We do things, and you can do English and do science. I think the teachers in the future are not going to be lecturers. No one likes to do that. We can ask Alexa when the War of 1812 was. We don't have to do anything. We want our people to be thinkers. And I think that's what Baldwin Prep is going to do. 100%. I don't think I know.
And I think what the students are going to see at Baldwin Prep is they're going to see connections to their subject, to their pathways. Mm-hmm. And our teacher cadet students are going to get to see a really interesting dynamic where we're going to have co-teaching models going on, interdisciplinary instruction, and it's just, our teacher cadets are in for a treat because we're doing something that hasn't been done before, and it's going to be trial by fire. We're going to figure it out. Yeah, that's ultimately when we model that for our students, and really, especially our teacher cadets, they're getting so much out of that.
And they're going to be able to see how it works. But I think the biggest thing for teachers and the teachers, if you think back to your favorite teacher and your favorite teacher, those were the teachers that were important to your whole self, and they made you feel like you were part of the classroom and you were part of a family, and you were part of a team. And those are the teachers that pushed you and were hard and demanded excellence and wanted you to be successful. I mean, I had one of our students leave for the Navy this week, and she called me, and I was so proud of her, and she did it. And the other part of the program as well is that I've had several students who decide they don't want to be teachers, which isn't that a great opportunity? I had another student, our first year in the program, she thought she wanted to go into the teaching and did all of that, and then we helped through our career coaches. She wanted to look into dental hygienist and other things. But then after school graduated, she actually worked at a daycare because she missed her kid. So she really saw, hey, wait a minute, I didn't think I wanted to do it. Mm-hmm. But then when I went out to do other things, I realized, hey, hang on a minute, I really do want to be a teacher. So
we had talked about that, like getting the experience now versus that final semester when you're truly immersed in it. The opportunities that the teacher cadets have, it's
enormous.
It's amazing.
And I think it's cool too that you mentioned the kids that figured out what they don't want to do, because I mean that's just as important as figuring out what you do want.
A lot of money that you're spending and time, and not everyone has. I mean, our career path, we have to go to college. That's how we have to get our certification. But there's other career paths, and it might not be what someone wants to do, but they don't know till they tried, and that's what I love about the program. That's the big thing that I feel like when they hired me on, they let me just do the way we want. I mean, I was able to have the autonomy to plan and do. And my big like non-negotiable is I want my students in the field as fast as possible. And that's a big deal for me, because I can talk and tell them all the time about the hierarchy of needs, but until they see a student that's struggling and see how a teacher handles it, they can't, you don't understand. So you have to do.
Do you see the teacher shortage getting better?
Well, I mean, I've always thought Baldwin County is amazing. And
I did.
I mean, I see more people moving here. I feel like, but then I hear we went to North Dakota, and we need to take a field trip to North Dakota. I'm on board. You're on board.
Let's go.
We can plan it. We can come up with all kinds of things. But the really cool part of the research team that I was with this summer is I got to collaborate with North Dakota teachers. And the interesting part was we were working on a project. We were doing a project-based learning where we were basically giving a task where we were supposed to insulate. This lady with grandma was living in a house, and it was too cold, and we had to do all of these things. But it was basically they gave us the wrong paper, because they gave the North Dakota people the paper on the hot South Alabama heat. And so it was just really great because we were collaborating. But in that collaboration, one of the teachers told me, first of all, there's 50 kids in her entire school, K through 12. 50.
Oh, that's like where I came from.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like, that's a shock to us. But at the same time, they had to have a virtual special education teacher because they couldn't find one. And they were virtual working in Chicago somewhere. And I thought that is crazy to think that was just one person, and it's all over that there's a teacher shortage. So there's areas all over the country that, it's hard to ask someone to come to North Dakota that's way over. I mean, it was beautiful, but it is a hard sell to ask people. Mm-hmm. So in areas that are in need, I feel like that's a problem. And of course, in low socioeconomic areas, that's a hard push for getting students and teachers to be in there. But it's my place where I want my student teachers to be. So
well, you got one right here.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm going to be around. I told them I am not retiring out until my kiddos get back to be Baldwin County. They have that BCBE behind there.
Will you be you're the second cycle?
She's my second group.
Of kids. Now, where do you see yourself in 10 years? Are you you're coming back here, right?
Well, Mr. Tyler's like, you go.
Good deal.
I see myself at Foley Elementary, where I went. So, yeah.
I love
back
it.
You
here
hear
for
that,
sure.
Brooke Waters? She's already turned in her
Yes.
application.
So, Ms. Tomaso, your future cadets are likely going to listen to this.
Uh-huh.
Any words you want to say as we approach the opening of Baldwin Prep?
I think one of the big things that Mr. Seeley said at the end of the school year is there's going to be lots of bumps along the way, and I think that's important. The teachers. Last year, I taught all new courses that I didn't teach the year before. So I'm learning as they're learning, and that's important. So I think the big thing is the big word for next year should be flexibility, that we might be changing things around, and we did that already. So my cadets that will be coming with me already know that. I mean, there's times when I'm like, back up, we're not doing that. We're changing this. So I think the big thing is flexibility. Do you want to add anything to them?
Do your work.
I will say, y'all have a pretty rigorous. Y'all
Yes,
have
we
to get
do.
18 hours of dual enrollment credit. It's not
And
easy.
we're going into the classroom as well. And sometimes you'll want to do stuff for the classroom. Do your work. Don't leave it at the last second. Trust me.
Yeah, part of their competencies. There's a lot, and it's part of the program. I do know that the 18 credit hours, West Alabama will accept all of them into their College of Education. Spring Hill, I know it's kind of crazy. Spring Hill is accepting them part as like elective credits. I'm continuously having conversations with all the colleges because I can show them the rigor of what we're doing in these education courses. But even though some colleges may not accept them in their College of Education, because they're part of, unless they go to a different state, they're part of the Alabama college program, so they'll count as electives for any of the college programs. And I think that's great. And then our new Baldwin Prep Academy students will have the opportunity to complete an entire associate's degree if they choose. So,
And you won't have to work out of 2 campuses.
I know. My car, we put a lot of miles on that car. I will be moving and going to other classes, and I'm really excited about the opportunity to add new schools and have our students going everywhere and visiting the classrooms. But I won't be driving in the middle. I ate my lunch in the car a lot last year. So
I understand that. Career coaches are all over the place, too. Well, is there anything else you'd like to add? I mean, you probably have students that are listening, fellow teachers. Is there anything you would like to share?
Oh, goodness. One thing I know is that we're going to have a great team. I tell my teacher cadets all the time, you have to surround yourself with people who want to continuously learn. And it's okay to leave a school. It's okay to say, I want to go a different direction. And I think that's important as teachers, that we're always constantly learning and constantly evolving. It doesn't matter your age or how long you've been teaching. And I think that's important, but I do think we have a great team. We have some good teachers on board. And so
What would you say to people who are thinking about teaching, but they just don't know yet?
Just call us. I can sell anything for you. I can do it. I really feel like if you need some help, I'm here. I love my parents. They were amazing, but I had no direction. I took my ACT one time and I was like, I'm good. because I didn't know. Like, I'm the ACE ACT again, right? And so I tell everyone, I'm that school mama, and so I'm definitely able to help. I know I've helped other parents along the way who just call me and say, hey, how do you get this scholarship? And we were both of my kids, I was helping them figure out how to navigate that college route, because it's expensive, and that's important. So even if you don't, or you're not in the Baldwin Prep and you think your child or you want to become a teacher, we have lots of great opportunities. I've been really talking with the state, and even if you're an adult, there's lots of pathways to become a teacher, and I would be happy to steer you in that right direction, because I think if you have that desire and that passion, we're here to help you.
It's one of my favorite things about my sponsor.
Mm-hmm.
She advocates and
I know.
helps everybody.
And I'd love to get back with you after your first year of college.
Yes.
Because I bet you're going to be in a classroom and you're going to have the most experience.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
What would you say to your fellow seniors coming up this year?
It's going to be a lot. It's going to be a little stressful. Just stay on top of your stuff. That's the most important. Have fun. Everything will be okay. And you will figure everything out. And Miss Tomaso is always here to help, because honestly I could not do it without her. And you will be fine.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, ladies. This has been a joy to talk to you, and I feel like I could Brittany and I could probably sit here and talk to y'all for about 5 more hours. So we're definitely going to have y'all come back on, and I'd love to hear about your first semester of college and teaching. So thank y'all so much, and thank you for everything you do. You're molding teachers.
No,
How amazing is
I had a
that?
friend ask me, like, did you just design this job for you? And I was like, actually, it was the perfect job. It is the perfect job for me. It's the perfect job. We'll never leave it. So, yes, I do. I love my job, and I feel like if you're passionate about your job and you were a great teacher when you do that. So I hope that I'm molding these teachers and bringing them out.
I know you are.
So I'm excited.
Thank y'all so much.
You're welcome.